Welcome back to Adventures with Bam. I'm Brent Billings.
And I am Maggie Billings.
And this episode has us navigating a sea of inspection items.
Whew.
So inspection day comes, and we drive up from Moscow. We have to leave super early. And we met them there, and we're also getting somebody out to do a fence bid because there's no fence in the backyard.
A lot of moving parts.
So many moving parts. My thought was I was going to follow the inspector around and like get a real good feel for the house. Well, it turns out there were 3 inspectors who came. It was like a 3-generation thing. Like the guy, I don't know if the guy who started the business, I assume he's the one who started the business, but maybe I don't know. Anyway, his son was also there, and then his grandson. So they were all kind of working on different parts of the house.
Honestly, that's the way to do it.
I mean,
especially
it was
in
cool,
a big house.
and they weren't all there the whole time. One of them left kind of early, and then the other one left a little bit later, and then the other one was there till the end. So I'm kind of like bouncing around, and I'm also taking some measurements for like office setup, and I've got like an outlet tester. So Darius and I are going around and testing all the outlets. So, we were having a good time. My mom came there and took the boys to the park. At one point, your dad came and checked things out. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a little party.
A family affair for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, they just found all kinds of stuff that we needed to deal with. Like, first of all, like we knew the roof was only about 10 years old, but apparently it's not a very long roof. They're like, yeah, the roof's in the second half of its life. It's like, what?
Well, there's big trees and lots of shade. I think
Right.
that makes a big difference.
Trees that need to be trimmed back because they're kind of scraping up against the roof. There was some, nothing like majorly wrong with the foundation, but like it's a rock foundation. So it's like you got to do some maintenance on it every once in a while and get some stuff to seal in the cracks. So that needs to be done. The heating system is a boiler, and that hasn't been maintained in a few years. So that needs to be refreshed. There's the pipes that feed all of the radiators, and those have possibly asbestos insulation on them. So those need to get resealed, and just lots of stuff. And then the big one was knob and tube electrical wiring in the attic. Now, the basement is unfinished, and so the ceiling is open, and we can see modern Romex wiring all over the place. So it seems like they've mostly updated the house, but there's still some leftover knob and tube, probably feeding just light fixtures, but we don't know for sure. And so he's got the inspection report is insane. There's just pictures upon pictures upon pictures. But he's up there in the attic, and he's got his little tester thing. The wires are hot, so it's like, okay, we got to deal with that. So what else? Oh, we also need gutters. There's some negative slope into the house, blah, blah, blah. Just tons and tons of little things and a few major things. So this was on a Tuesday that we had the inspection. We had until Friday to respond to it. So we're just like tripping over ourselves trying to get quotes on all this stuff and figure out like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Because we built a little bit of buffer into our offer price, knowing like, okay, we're going to have to do something when we move in. So we got to make sure we have enough money to do all this stuff. So we're getting all these quotes, and ultimately responded, I think like late Friday. Like we just finally, like we had a bunch of conversations with all the different people that we know who do all this kind of work. Mm-hmm. And we had a pretty good idea. And so we countered. So we were at, 80,000 below asking. We countered back with our original 100,000 under, because we figured we had potentially about $20,000 worth of work that needed to be done. So then the seller comes back and was like, oh, I didn't know about all this stuff. Let me get some of my own quotes. So he gets some quotes. So he comes back with a much lower price on the electrical and an offer of 87 below asking. And we're like, well, if that's what that is, that's great. Let's do it. Let's see that quote so we can have those guys do it. And bada bing, bada boom, let's get this done. So then come to find out that the quote was not an official quote. And so our agent was like, let me get my guy out there. So we get the other guy out there.
To like look at everything.
Yeah. So he pops open all the boxes, all the plates, all the outlets, everything. And this house is full of knob and tube. So it is so much worse than we thought. So much worse than everybody thought. And so we're now looking at a like $25,000 project instead of what we thought was like a 7 to maybe 15 in the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And what the seller thought was like $3,000. So
if only.
the whole thing was a mess. And so we're going back and forth, and it's just this grueling process, like the back and forth process as far as like, okay, you change this thing, and then you wait for them to respond, and then they kind of...
that's 3 days of waiting.
It's all 3 business days, and weekends don't count, and it's like, ugh.
So at this point, I'm like, are we moving? Because I've been packing, and like, I don't know if I should keep packing. Because as much as I'm like, I think we're going to move soon, it's like, if this sale falls through, we're starting back over. And how long can I live out of boxes, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to still like be hopeful and move forward with like packing, and you're still working with lenders, and I'm just spiraling because I don't do well in these kinds of waits, and I've had bad experiences in these sorts of situations. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not convinced it's going to work out.
And I am apparently an eternal optimist, because I just felt like...
You are an eternal optimist.
Every time something came up, like just, I was like, yeah, I don't... Like, he came back with that counter offer, and I was like, man, I don't know how we're going to be able to... And then like within 60 seconds, I got a phone call out of the blue to shoot a wedding for somebody. Mm. And like my wedding,
after we got the expensive bid for the electrical.
Yeah. Like, but 60, like, it's just
crazy.
Unbelievable timing. And I'm just like, why does all this stuff keep happening where it seems like, I mean, why did this house sit on the market for 3 years? Like, there are reasons, but also, how come nobody else gave it a shot like we did?
Yeah.
And why would he accept an offer that's seemingly so low? Mm-hmm. I mean, for us, it's like, well, we can't really offer much more than that. Like, that is what we can afford. And we do have some work that's going to have to get done pretty much immediately. So, like, we're giving you our best offer. So he's feeling uncomfortable about coming down any more than whatever he has. And then we've also got this super crazy electrical project that we got to pay for. And then I find out, like, oh, I'm getting this cost of living adjustment because we're moving to Spokane, because Spokane's more expensive. So we were all operating on my Moscow salary budget. And it turns out, like, oh, no, there's a little bit more padding. And it's like, turns out that is just enough to make this whole thing work. Mm-hmm. So our ultimate selling price was $90,000 below asking. The extra $3,000 helps a little bit.
We'll
but
use
also,
it for something.
Yeah. Like,
there's stuff.
We went from like a $7,000 electrical project to a $25,000 electrical project. So the 3 doesn't quite cover that, but it does help. And there's just enough other stuff. And like, Maggie started a new job before her other job ended. So we've got a little overlap there where we're getting some extra income. Mm-hmm. Like, Maggie's getting potentially an extra violin student. There's other potential job opportunities on the horizon.
All of these things have just randomly been dropped in our lap. Like the extra violin student was a friend reached out to me and was like, hey, my daughter wants lessons. The other job, my friend reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want this job? Like, it feels like the stars are just aligning, and it's crazy.
And then, of course, the somber reality of, like, we wouldn't even be able to consider buying any house anywhere if it hadn't been for my dad passing away and being able to give us a lot more money than we expected to get. Like, I wasn't really expecting anything at all.
No.
And we didn't get enough to buy the house, but we got enough to do a down payment.
Yeah.
And spend a chunk of money fixing up our current house so that we can rent it out instead of having to sell it.
Right.
But like the whole negotiating process with all these inspections was just
a nightmare.
It was so awful.
It's so, I don't know. So I don't know about for you, very stressful for me, because like every time you send an offer or a counter offer, then it's just like 3 days of silence and waiting.
Or 5 days.
Or
5
days.
days.
Yeah, depending on when you submit it, because it's 3 business days. So if you submit it on a Thursday or Friday, it's like, cool, the weekend doesn't count. And then you've got,
and then you found out you submitted on a holiday, so that day didn't count either. So then it's one more day.
Oh my gosh. So it's just like days of silence where it's like, okay, they could respond today, but they don't have to. They've got 48 more hours until they have to respond. So it's just, it's it's mentally a lot. I don't recommend that part of the process.
But what I do recommend is listening to our next episode where we talk about how we finally signed the agreement.